Happy Aloha Friday, everybody. Here we are again. I don't think we need to introduce who our names are. They're right at the bottom of the screen, but
we do need to introduce our guest, though.
Yes, we do need to introduce our guest, and I'm going to let Adrian do that. And I know you know who's Adrian because her name's over there next to her face too. Adrian, go ahead.
So our guest today was born in Hawaii. He graduated from a college from Creighton University and became a tennis pro and head coach of the Punahou boys varsity tennis team. As head coach, he won 22 consecutive state championships. And from what I had heard, like that has never happened in all of history. So that's like a record-breaking and just an amazing thing that was done.
Congratulations.
So Rusty is also the author of 2 best-selling books, Beyond the Lines and Beyond the Game, and the TV host of the #1 show on Thinktech Hawaii's Beyond the Lines. Please welcome our guest, Rusty How do you pronounce your last name? Komori?
Komori.
Komori. All right. Rusty
Adrian
Komori.
has challenges with the Japanese names and the Hawaiian names.
Well, great to be here with both of you.
Yeah. All right. So, we always like to start off with, in Hawaii, we always talk, in the mainland, we go straight into business. But in Hawaii, we like to get to know each other a little bit. It's almost like being a Hawaiian, I say everybody has their kumulipo, their origin story. So, Rusty, tell us your origin story from the mainland, from here. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, born in Wahiawa, when I was around 7 years old, we moved really far away to Mililani.
Okay.
And I went to Hanalani schools up until 8th grade, and then went to Damien High School for since 9th grade, and then started playing tennis in 9th grade, and got a partial tennis scholarship to Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska, and thought I was going to go into law school, but started teaching tennis, and that's what happened. That's how it all began.
Well, a good history there. I know Wahiawa. I think I looked up the history of it. The Hawaiian name means like hearing the sounds of the North Shore or something like that. And then Damien. Oh, you was back then when it was only boys, right? Because now they're co-ed.
Yeah, and that was the most strict school in the state by far. I mean, the brothers there, they had like the paddles in the class, and that kind of discipline worked. I mean, you see somebody get paddled, and you don't want to be out of line for sure.
I know, and they like drilled holes in them so they could reduce the air friction. No.
Yeah, it goes through the air faster, it makes it harder, more painful.
Well, Rusty, I'm sure that you did not use those methods with your tennis team. You have a lot of different kind of methods.
You didn't go John McEnroe on them, right? You just you talk softly and carry a big racket. No.
Yeah. No, yeah, I couldn't do any of those techniques.
So you went off to Creighton. A lot of our local people are moving. They go to the mainland, they go to school, and then they don't come back. Same thing with me. I went to the University of Arizona, came back. Did you come back right away, or what was the journey from college back to Hawaii?
Yeah, going to Omaha, Nebraska for 4 years, you just start to appreciate Hawaii. I mean, if you just stayed in Hawaii, you wouldn't really appreciate it. You'd take things for granted. But I came back and again started thinking that I'm going to go into law school. I took the LSATs and started teaching tennis at Wailai Country Club Punahou School in a private facility out in Mililani. And a lot of my adult tennis students at Wailai were attorneys, and they all had glasses that looked like it was 3 inches thick. And I asked them, I said, "What do you guys do all day?" They said, "Oh, we read all day." You're going to read all day. You're going to have glasses like us. And I thought to myself, I don't want to read things that I have to read. I like to read things that I like to read.
Yeah.
And literally, that was the end of me pursuing law right then and there. And I continued teaching tennis and started developing a lot of our state's top-ranked junior players. And after 1 year, I stopped Wailai and continued on at Punahou and the private facility out in Mililani.
Awesome. So you didn't want to look like Mr. Magoo with the big, thick glasses, and you decided to stick with tennis. Adrian, you had a question.
I just wanted to comment, like, clearly that was, where you were meant to be. You're not meant to be a lawyer. You're meant to be a coach and a trainer and inspiring these young people to, just to be successful. So that's quite the journey. I'm so glad you're able to follow your passion, and here we are now. You're still following your passion with your TV show and your books and your leadership training. Like you've done so much just from tennis.
Yeah. So let's talk about your transition. You're going from coaching people with tennis to maybe doing some business or life coaching. Let's talk about that transition. What made you decide to go in this direction?
Well, through the years when I was coaching the Punahou teams, a lot of my players' parents were CEOs and business owners, and they kept telling me, they said, Coach Rusty, you need to write a book. You need to share what you're doing with your teams. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, me write a book, that'll never happen. And when we were going for our 22nd consecutive state championship, the media had, previously said that, whoa, you're the coach with the longest streak, 22 championships in 22 years. And in all sports. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, and people were saying, this is going to be your legacy, this streak. And I thought to myself, that's fine, but I think I can do a lot more. I think I can do, some bigger and greater things. So when we're entering our 22nd year, I made the announcement at the beginning of the season that was going to be my last year coaching. And the players and the parents, they all started crying, and they're so shocked. And I told them that, I didn't want to be a distraction at the end of the season. I wanted the end of the season to be all about the boys. But I shared with them that, maybe I'm going to try to write a book that, me being naive, I'm thinking if I write a book and everybody in the world could get the book, then maybe the world will be a better place.
Yeah.
And so Beyond the Lines took me 2.5 years to write. And then Beyond the Game took me 1 year to write, because as I was writing Beyond the Lines, I'm writing stories and concepts. And I'm thinking to myself, ooh, some of this would be great for a second book. And really, that's what happened. And once the books came out, so many businesses, organizations, they're just reaching out to me, hiring me to be a keynote speaker. And so I would do keynote speakings, and then the businesses would hire me back to do a leadership training for their companies. And then I started doing executive coaching as well for a bunch of CEOs and business owners. And they all go hand in hand, but the nucleus is the books, because it relates to everybody. I mean, any student, every adult, it relates to them, whether it's about leadership, creating a culture of excellence. It's even helping people with mental health issues.
Gotcha.
Rusty, could you share that story? Because I heard your keynote speech, and you shared a quite emotional kind of story on someone you had a huge impact on in regards to with the mental health.
Yeah, so I was hired to be a keynote speaker for this big insurance organization at the Halekoa Hotel. And once I was finished speaking, I was at a table signing books. Half of the audience had pre-ordered books, and the other half was going to order books right then and there. And I had learned previously to pre-sign books so that I can just sign books to, that person or the names of the people that they're buying books for. And I would say about midway through the line, there was this older Caucasian lady that had come up to me and said, Coach Rusty, when I saw that you're going to be the keynote speaker, I had to come and meet you. Can I order 20 books? And you saved my life. And, she kept talking, and, I'm trying to focus on spelling everybody's names correctly. And she kept saying, she said that, professionally, she's very successful. She owns her own insurance company, but personally, her life was down in the dumps, that she thought about committing suicide. And once I heard that, I stopped, because in my mind, it made sense now what she said earlier. You saved my life, and then suicide. I looked up, and she starts crying. Now, you got to think, this is eye-opening to me. I thought I wrote books about leadership and creating a superior culture of excellence. And I looked at her and she said, when I read your book, Beyond the Lines, it changed my mindset. It gave me inspiration and hope. You saved my life. I start crying. And she said, can I hug you? I said, yes, we're going to hug. So we're hugging and crying and hugging and crying. Again, this is eye-opening to me. This is a shock to me. So I asked her, I said, what parts in the book resonated with you? She says, oh my gosh, in the first chapter, the title is The Choice is Yours. You talk about choices, making people matter. You talk about contributing to society. You talk about welcoming adversity and looking forward to challenges. You talk about looking at that one positive among 20 negatives. You talk about inspiring hope. And when she said all that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see that now. But I never wrote it in that way with this intention. It just ended up coming out like this. And she told me right then and there, she says, you'll never know how many people you're going to inspire and help that are dealing with mental health issues with depression and suicide. She said, thank you. And that was it. She walked away, and the next person was coming up saying, Coach Rusty, can I order 10? Are you okay? And I'm crying, and they're like, are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? I said, yes, come, I'm okay. And since then, including that woman, a total of 5 adults have come to me sharing that they were contemplating suicide. So, right when that happened, I knew that we had something much bigger and greater with these books. And that was just with the first book. And that was before COVID. And the second book came out just before COVID started. And so knowing that, we're trying to get the books out into the community as much as possible, because we know how it's helping people with various issues. And that mental health issues are a big thing nowadays, but especially in the past as well.
What would be the best way for someone to order your books?
Well, it's on Amazon, and
Okay.
it's in Barnes and Noble. I also did audiobooks for both books. I narrated it, so it's on Amazon. It's on ebooks. I even checked on Amazon. There's an audio CD version of both books available.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so that's a lot of CEOs and business owners have been buying books for their employees and using both books as a playbook for their company. And they're loving it, because they're saying every person, it's simple and clear, and everyone's getting the same message, and everyone's striving for that same superior culture of excellence. And employees can hold management accountable. Management can hold employees accountable. They absolutely love it. It makes their job so much easier because of the simplicity and the clarity.
Yes.
And the books are not that long either. They seem like they're, it's like they're not intimidating as far as the size. It looks like, you could get through it and read through them, maybe in an afternoon at the beach.
Yeah, it's thin for a reason, because there's no fluff in it. It's just, we just go straight to the point, and basically just sharing what worked. I mean, the first book, the big things in Beyond the Lines are the 4 Ps and the 8 keys of achieving and sustaining success. And the big things in the second book, Beyond the Game, are the 3 C's of leadership and the 6 keys for peak performance. And so the first book really sets the general framework. And then the second book, we're kind of going further beyond the lines, getting into a little bit more details, but both books go hand in hand. And a lot of people in real estate, they're seeming to buy the books to give it as gifts to their clients when they make a sale, or just even when they meet certain clients, because it's a meaningful gift rather than putting a bottle of wine or flowers, and it's something that's going to be long lasting, and it doesn't cost too much as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to put your knowledge and your winning attitude into these books. And I always say books are a great way to meet someone without meeting them. And like you said it when you said it, I was thinking it. You don't know how many people's lives you're going to touch, and may never know, because they'll watch your shows, they'll read your book, they'll hear you be a keynote speaker. I know Adrian was impressed to have you on our Friday Live, and now I know why, because you have a very good message to share out there and drop that pebble in the pond of the world. Adrian, you had a question?
Oh, and then I also want to remind our viewers that we'll be having Rusty on the radio show as well, and maybe going a little bit more in depth. Now, I wanted to also touch on this Thinktech Hawaii show. You had mentioned that you've just recently celebrated your 200th episode. Can you share with our viewers a little bit about what was so special about that 200th episode?
Well, it's unbelievable because I was a guest on a Thinktech Hawaii show when my first book came out. I was on Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. He no longer does his show, but he's a famous CPA, and he told me, Rusty, the CPAs love you. They love your books. And I'm like, really? I had no idea. And he says, they just did a book review in the CPA newsletter, and he showed it to me. And I'm like, whoa, and I'm blown away by it. Had no idea about it. Once I finished the show, he and the CEO of Thinktech Hawaii said, you need to host your own TV show. When can you start? And they asked me basically, do you want to do a show once a month, every other week, or weekly? And I said, I think I can do it weekly. And, it's hard. It's a live show, but it's a show based on my book. So, it's about leadership and creating a culture of excellence and success. And people love watching the shows because it's educational, it's inspirational. A lot of business owners are sending the shows to their employees to try to inspire them. So my first episode, I had one of my best friends on. It was Justin Cruz from Channel 2 News. Do not watch that first episode, by the way. I mean, that's embarrassing. He and I still can't watch that episode. It's too embarrassing. But, I thought it was monumental when I got to episode 100, and I had Glenn Medeiros, the famous singer and St. Louis school president, on, and he's one of my friends, and he actually wrote the foreword for my second book, Beyond the Game. And then Justin was telling me, he says, I want to interview you on your show. I want you to be the guest. Let's switch it up. We're switching seats. And I thought to myself, okay, Justin, if I can get to show number 200, we'll do that, and we'll make it a surprise for everybody. And that's what we did last week. And that's why he was on the left side of the split screen. I'm on the right. And he just asked me a ton of questions. And we went a little over time because he lost track of time. But some people are texting me saying that was their most favorite episode of them all. And I've had some incredible people, Super Bowl champions, Olympians, governors, lieutenant governors, mayors, CEOs, shark attack survivors. I mean, just the whole spectrum of incredible people. So I'm just so happy that people just love Beyond the Lines, and it goes hand in hand with the books and TV shows.
Awesome. And so people are hearing this, they're on our platform, and they're like, I want to go watch these shows. What's the best way? Should they just go to your website?
Yeah, they can go on my website, and all of the shows are uploaded to YouTube. So if you go on YouTube and you search Rusty Komori, you'll see Beyond the Lines will pop up as well, and that's where all the shows are. And
just don't watch the first one.
Don't watch the first one. Too embarrassing.
Attilio and I also had that same experience with our very first radio show. We're so glad that there was no record of it anywhere.
It's like a child. You can say, look at how much they've grown.
Yes, that's true. Grown quite a bit.
But you guys have. I was clicking on some of the shows here, and you guys have a nice little opening thing there, and you have a producer probably in there who's helping you, and you guys are, right here. You have some people that you've been talking to, and I'm not playing the audio, but just giving people a little Miller Lite, just a little poo-poos, some little appetizers of the show, and you said it comes out once a week.
Yeah, once a week. We broadcast live every Monday at 11 a.m. But people I don't know anybody that watches it live, but now, I mean, everybody that I know, they watch it on YouTube because it's more convenient. And
Yes.
people, when they're driving to work, they'll just press play and maybe just listen to the show,
Gotcha.
kind of like a podcast in a way.
Nice. And for you, what was your main motivation for doing the show?
I just thought, it's a way for me to highlight other successful people. So many of them are my friends, and people are saying, how are you getting Christy Yamaguchi and Super Bowl champion head coach Dick Vermeil and all of these incredible guests? And I'm like, yeah, how am I getting them? And it's because they love the books and they actually watch my TV shows, and I'm blown away by that. How the show is not just popular here in Hawaii, but across the United States and in some other countries as well. People in Japan and England and Australia are watching it as well.
Nice.
I think it's because like attracts like.
Yes.
And these other successful people, they have a lot in common with you, and that's why they want to come and get to know you more and share their message.
Well, I've also had some of my guests cry on the show because I'll ask them about what's some of their big adversities that they've dealt with in their life, and they feel so comfortable with me that they're sharing some of their insecurities and vulnerabilities, and it's really helping so many other people relate to their domestic abuse or their attempting suicide or something like that, and really being in that depths and then really rebounding and really coming up and getting your head above water.
Yeah, so people can really relate to that. And I think, I forgot who it was, John Maxwell, he said, people aren't impressed by your accomplishments, but they're always, but you'll connect with them if you can share with them your failures. And so you seem to be really good with that. You're like the Oprah of Oahu. Can we call you the Oprah of Oahu?
You can, Attilio, you can.
And I really like your energy and your positivity. And obviously you've got a track record of winning. And what Adrian and I realized that 80-90% of that characteristics of the person, of the message, of the communication, you can duplicate it in your family environment and your business environment. We're coming to the end of our Friday Live, just wrapping it up. So you got the 2 books. You've got Thinktech Hawaii, which is the show. And then people can book you to be a keynote speaker or come in and do some leadership training. And all of that is at rustykomori.com.
Yep, it is.
Okay. Well, awesome. I like to always, Adrian may have a question. This is cool about 2 hosts. You get 2 questions at the end. But I totally ripped this one off from Oprah. She got asked this question many, many years ago, and it kind of was like, wow, it was something to think about. And then she wrote a book about it, and then she also ends all her interviews with it. But you may have already mentioned it before, but again, what do you know for sure? What do you know for sure?
Well, what I know for sure is I feel like I'm making a big positive impact in our community and in society, because so many people are coming up to me sharing about, how they're inspired about the messages in the books or what they're seeing on the shows. So it's allowing them to inspire their people, and then their people's inspiring their people. So I feel that's the impact. That's what really greatness is, when you can inspire people with who you are or what you do and your message, and it resonates with them, and then it gets them excited to want to really share the same message with their people. And I just feel that's a priceless experience. So thankfully that's what's happening right now.
Well, we know.
So my question is there going to be another sequel? Are you working on any other books or anything in the works?
Yeah, I'm working on book number 3 right now. I mean, writing 1 book is hard, let alone 2 books. So I don't know when book number 3 will be done, but I am working on it. It is tough. but it seems like there's so many people that when they read both books, they're like, you got to write a third book. You got to write a trilogy. And I'm like, you guys, it's hard to write a book.
Yeah. Well, they always say there's a book inside of them. And I think we're confident there's 3 in you. There's 3 books in you, maybe 4.
Sure.
But
I'm glad you guys have confidence in me.
Well, you know,
there could be 22.
well,
That's a good number for you.
Yeah.
Rusty, I was thinking about it. You know, at your next book signing, they're gonna come up to you. They're gonna like, oh, we're inspired by your books. We're like, oh, under 10, and you're just gonna go like this. Only 10. No. I'm just kidding. It's good to meet like-minded individuals within our own community. A lot of times we're traveling to the mainland, so I'm glad there's a warrior of peace and higher consciousness in our own backyard. And definitely we're going to be, I think we should make a recommendation for Rusty to come maybe be a keynote at Keller Williams Honolulu.
Yes,
with our market center
make that
and stuff
recommendation.
like that. Yeah, we'll make that recommendation to our team leader and principal broker. But thanks so much for being on the show. We're looking forward to having you be be a call-in guest for our radio show. Adrian, what is that? That's going to be next week?
Yes.
Okay. And other than that, any question we should have asked you that we haven't?
No, I wrap up all of my TV shows by saying, to try to find your greatness and help others find theirs. And I think that's really what we're all about, is we want to find our greatness first within us. And once we do, then we can try to help others find their greatness, their passion, something that excites them, gives them life, gives them meaning and purpose.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a Rusty quote. Hopefully people are writing that one down. We're going to wrap up our show, but stay with us and we'll just do a little quick debrief. But hang in there. Aloha, everybody.